Hi, I'm Tiffany Johannes with RE/MAX Executive and Charlotte Home Experts. Welcome to our October market update. Tonight we have a lot to go over, so let's get started. Thank you for joining us. So some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight are understanding today's market and how current events will impact home sales. Then we'll go into what's going on with mortgages today, followed by what's going on in Charlotte specifically, not just overall in the nation, but in Charlotte specifically. How to sell, what questions you might have. We're going to go through that, and then we'll answer any questions that you might have. So let's get started. What's going on? Housing has experienced a strong V-shaped recovery and is now exceeding pre-pandemic levels. It's really amazing and more than any of us ever thought. First American's chief economist is where we got this quote from. What's happening? We've talked about the V a lot, and the times I've had discussions with you, the times I've been doing updates. And when you look at what was happening pre-pandemic, you see up here, you're at 106.5. We fell down well into 83.1 and then back up. So when you look at supply and demand, over the time during the pandemic, we have seen that sharp drop and we've seen it come back up. Now we've got some wiggles going on here, but we, for the most part, have seen strong recovery in the housing market. We actually have been leading recovery efforts. The truth is attainable by laying fact upon fact. And so as we look at what's going on in the marketplace today, you can look at our total spending. When the pandemic hit, April 1st, our spending as an economy for consumers dropped to 31.7%. It's interesting to see that back as of September 1st, the last time data was collected, we were at just less than 4.1% compared to where we were at the beginning of this year. So we are moving in the right direction, and that really has been fueled by the housing market, surprisingly. Unemployment rate. January, February, March, we were all sub 5. We hit April. That's when we had that mass layoffs, all of the issues at 4.7%. May, it dropped, and as we continue to see that stair step down, we're at about 7.9% as of September. That's an important number because it talks about what consumers have in their pockets to spend and what's happening with the unemployment. To give you a comparison, unemployment during the Great Depression, it took 108 months to get back to unemployment of 9% or less. When you look at the Great Recession, a few years ago, it was 30 months. 1980s oil recession, 19 months. 2020, we're at 4 months. So that says a lot about where we're going and where we've been. As we look at what is happening with the number of active mortgages and forbearance, it's decreasing. A lot of you have said to me, Tiffany, should I do anything about forbearance? How do I handle coming out of forbearance? You've got to talk to your lender and you've got to take the proper steps for yourself. If you want some help or guidance, I'm happy to connect you and find the right solution for you because it's not the same solution for everybody. When you look at the numbers, 3.59 million people were in forbearance as of the end of September. And what does forbearance mean? It means that they are putting off paying their mortgage. The percentage of distressed properties, that's probably the number one question I get as of late, and that is, Tiffany, what's happening with distressed properties? Can I buy a foreclosure? Can I buy a short sale? Well, the answer is it's tough to find one in our market. It's really tough because inventory of foreclosures is under 1%. And so even if they go up 100%, you're looking at 2% of our market. It's going to take a good while if the foreclosure market comes back or if the short sale market comes back. Likely it will, but in our Charlotte market, we're not seeing that right now. So as we continue on, homeowners have continued to gain equity in their homes. They're more likely to consider using that equity to purchase a larger or more attractive home. The wealth effect of rising equity is what has fueled the housing market. When you look at the housing appreciations around the country, and particularly in our Charlotte market, you see that we've grown a lot. Even with the pandemic this year, our homes have appreciated. And if you look in the future months, in the future year, you'll see that happening. Now, what's happening from a purchasing power? Right now, our interest rates have hovered around 2.75%. Yes, you heard it right, 2.75%. When you look at that number versus 4.25%, which it was not too long ago, On a $400,000 house on that left-hand column, just to the right of the green, today at 2.75%, your mortgage would be $1,633. 4.25%, an interest rate I didn't get, or I got to maybe 3 years ago, $1,968. That is over $335 difference. So if you're at a higher mortgage rate right now and you've been thinking about refinancing, you might want to dip your toes in that and really consider getting it done before interest rates start going back up. Now, do I think they're going to go back up really fast? No, but now is a good time to consider refinancing. It's a good time to think about if you've got some equity in your home, do you want to make that next purchase up, or do you want to make that next change in your life so that you're in a new home? You might be working from home more often. You might have your students at home with you. You might have elderly parents with you. There are a number of reasons why you might want to change where you live today, and we're seeing it happen every day. So from an interest rate standpoint, you can get more for your money today. So think about that. Even though we're in a seller's market, the interest rates really are dictating buyers getting out there. So when you look at over a decade for $300,000, decade by decade, in the 1970s, 8.86, your monthly payment would have been $2,384. In the 1980s, that is right around the time my mother bought her first house, 12.7% was her interest rate. Heck, I think she actually had a 13 or 14% interest rate at that time, $3,248. 1990, I actually bought my house in the late 90s, first house I ever bought, and my interest rate was in the 6s to 7s, but it got up to 8.12 in the 90s, and your mortgage rate would have been $2,267. Well, you look at the 2000s at 1855 and the 6.29, 2010 range, 4%, 1448. We thought it was great at 4%. Well, who would have thought we would be at 2.75 to 2.96? $1,258 would be a mortgage payment based on $300,000 today. It's hard to believe you can finance a home for less than you could in 1970 today. Mortgage rate projections, what's going to happen? When you look at Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, MBA, NAR, they all are saying that they think that mortgages are going to hover in the 3% range. We've got the 2020 fourth quarter, 2021 first quarter, and second quarter here. And across the board, it doesn't feel like we're going to shift that much over 3%. So if you're thinking about refinancing, get your ducks in a row and get it done. Mortgage rates, if you look this year, we've had a huge swing going up and down. So from a standpoint of mortgages, fixed rate mortgage 30-year, if you think about doing 15-year or you want an ARM, those are some things you should talk to your lender about because they have a lot of products out there today for anyone and everyone's needs. A lot of you have said, what credit scores? What do we need? Well, all loans overall, the average has been 752. Conventional has been 759. If you're thinking about an FHA, 684 has been where the FICO score is. And for a VA loan, which is for veterans, 725 has been the average credit score. Now that means there have been scores above and below that. So if you are looking at your credit score online, oftentimes the sites online aren't going to be exactly what the mortgage lenders look at. You might want to have a consultation with the mortgage lender to check on your credit score. Also, I will say, if you're concerned about your credit score, have a conversation with myself and a lender before you start making changes that you think are going to drive your credit score up. And I say that because oftentimes our logic is not what drives the credit score up. It can oftentimes drive it down. So let's be very cautious about taking your own steps and consult a professional relative to your credit score. What about your debt to income ratio? That's what DTI stands for. Well, in today's market, all loans, your debt to income ratio needs to be about 35%. That's what conventional loans are. With FHA and VA, it can be a little bit higher at 43% and 40%. And that's oftentimes why someone would utilize an FHA or a VA loan over the conventional loan. And that's so that we can spread out the risk. FICO scores distributions. I told you it was all over the board in terms of what you could do. And we were talking about averages a second ago. Well, right here you can see 500 to 549, 0.02%. That's probably a little bit low. 550 to 599. 0.23%, 100 to 649. Then 650 to 699, that's under 700 was 1716. If you had a credit score under 750, that contributed to 45.95% of everyone who got a loan in the recent months. So I think that says a lot. And yes, 37% had 750 to 799, and over 800, 17%. So you're not alone if you're looking at something 700 or below and trying to get a mortgage, and you can do it. Just work with a professional to figure out the best strategy for yourself. So what's happening in the Charlotte market? This is our local update. The last numbers we just got in from September, and I've got here our region. So our region really consists of multiple counties, but a lot of this data is directly from Mecklenburg, Union County, Lancaster, and York County, South Carolina, because that's where the population is. So when you look at new listings, you look at pending sales, closed sales, all of the data is right here. So we're comparing it to 2019 in September, and we're comparing it year to date. We're going to go through a lot of these items as we roll through the next few slides. New listings. You can see that in 2018, there were 4,360 listings in September of 2018. Today, our new listing count was up 11% compared to last year at 5,514. So we have had sellers entering the market, and they've seen a lot of successes. Year to date, we're down a little bit, 4.9% down compared to last year. Thinking about where we've been in 2020, I'll take almost 5% any day. But we need to think about the market and really how we can continue to lift up. And if people need to make a move or you're considering it, now is probably the key time. So I invite you to have a conversation with me about a strategy to sell your house if you're thinking about it, or a strategy to buy a new house, or how you can do it together. We'll talk a little bit about that as we get further down the road here. Closed sales. Happy to report we're up 1.6% compared to last year. We're knocking on the door of 40,000 there year to date. In September, 4,877 homes closed. That is an increase of 11.8%. What happened with pending sales? Those are under contract. We had 28% more homes under contract in September than we did September a year ago. That doesn't surprise me because we had such a pent-up demand coming out of the pandemic. Year to date, we're up 7.2%, 44,555. So that's a good number. Days on market until sell. That means how long did it take the house to actually sell? Well, we're down right now. 29 is the average days compared to 39 this time September last year compared to today. Then when we look at year to date, it's at 39, which is to be expected, but it's still down 9.3%. Housing inventory. Supply. 1.1 months worth of supply. If you're out there looking for a house right now, or you listed your house, you'll see this number fluctuating, and you'll see why. When you put your house on the market, you typically have a good number of showings. You might have multiple offers depending on your price point and your location. Buyers are waiting because there are not enough homes listed, and that's what the 1.1 months worth of inventory reflects. It means if all the buyers were constant and all the sellers were constant, all of our inventory would be gone in 1.1 months. What does that mean? Month supply of inventory. It's a buyer's market if you are 7 months and higher. We saw a buyer's market for a long time during the Great Recession. As you look 2006, 2007, 8 to 10, even 11, 12, it was a buyer's market, but the interest rates were higher. There was a lot of inventory out there. When you look at our seller's market, we've been in the seller's market for a good while now, and that's less than 6 months worth of inventory. Typically, that means sellers can dictate price a little bit more, they can dictate terms, and they might not do as much on a repair request. But in today's market, buyers are anxious to get into the playing field and have great interest rates. So we've got the best of both worlds relative to that, and that's why we see such a high demand with low inventory. Existing homes versus new homes. Well, existing listings for homes that have been a resale, according to the National Association of Realtors, is 39% down. New homes, 33%. I was out with clients this past weekend showing new home construction. The price point was, let's say, $350 to $400. we went all over Charlotte. The majority of homes were not going to be available until March or April, and we're just now starting to come out of the ground, just dirt. Every inventory home, for the most part they had, was already sold or accounted for. So if you're looking for new construction, there's some great options, but you need to plan ahead. So if you have a home to sell right now and you want to buy a new home, talk to me about what that strategy looks like. If you're selling an existing home or buying an existing home, inventory is short there as well. So we've got to look at a strategy on that side to help you move forward. New home sales continue to surge as housing shines all over. And that's the Builder magazine. I think Builder magazine and builder representatives are shocked at how this market turned out. I know myself and my colleagues back in March and April were talking a lot about what we were going to do, how this year was going to impact us. We thought it was going to be a negative year. It's actually been a positive year for the economy in Charlotte and a positive year for builders. Months of inventory, you can see, has been all over the board, but we had so much inventory when we started in 2011, and we've kind of stair-stepped down as you look at it. So we hope to see more inventory coming from builders, but they've got to get the inventory up. And the only way they can do that is as lumber mills and as appliance vendors can supply more, because it starts from the wood and it starts from the appliances and the windows so that they can get them in. There have been some delays, so if you're working with new construction, expect a little bit of a delay. Housing supply year over year. You can kind of see in the last 12 months how our housing supply has shrunk compared to last year. April through August, we've been hovering between 18 to 21%. That dictates prices going up. New home inventory has shrunk. And so as people have gotten out buying, the houses that were being built are all bought up. So now builders are scrambling to get the supplies in to build the new construction. And that's why you see the 3.8, 3.5, and 3.4. It also probably has a little bit to do with permitting processes, inspectors, and just the social distancing that you need to construct and build a home safely. New home inventory, 2019 to 2020, month supply. It was great last year. There was plenty of inventory. There were homes that you could purchase and move into in 30 to 45 days. As you see, last year in July, there were 5.9 months worth of inventory, then 5.7, and it went up to 5.9 and 6.6. This year, it's stair-stepping down at the same time it was going up last year. So we've got to be careful and make sure that we keep an eye on that. Prices. That's what everyone wants to know. What's the price of my home? How much can I get for my home? Well, I'm happy to tell you our average sales price in September compared to a year ago is up 16%. That doesn't mean it's across the board, but when you look at it year over year, we're up 8.6% compared to last year. So that's good for equity for all of our Charlotte sellers. Projections on future home prices. I was doing this for a client today, looking at what does it look like going up? Has it been 6 or 7, 8% over the last couple of years? And what can I expect in the future? Well, if you look across the board, everyone from Fannie Mae and National Association of Realtors, and even Zillow, Mortgage Brokers Association, all are saying they feel like in the next 12 months or current year, housing prices are going to go up anywhere from 2.3, let's say, to 6%. And our market, it seems like it's going up higher than that and quicker. We're starting to see a few appraisal issues because of it. So if you are going under contract and you're going under contract at a higher price than list price, there's a possibility of an appraisal issue. So when we start talking about that, we'll need to talk about the strategy to handle that. When it comes to home prices for sellers, in 2019, they were realizing $65,500. And it was the best it had been in 13 years. So I can tell you this year, when they have the data on it for 2020, we're going to be high as well. One thing I will say is, if you've been renting and you've been trying to figure out when to get off of the sideline and into the homeownership space, when you look at it over the years, homeowners have a lot higher wealth level than renters because homeowners are paying themselves instead of a landlord and building equity in a home. So if you're paying a high rent right now, which if you're living in Charlotte, you likely are, I would consider looking at what the mortgage rates are and looking at how much it would cost you to be in a comparable home or even a better and improved situation if you owned your own home so that you could build equity and build your wealth and have some retirement income and just really thinking about your future. Home prices projected to continue to appreciate. So across the board, everyone is showing that. And this is just another way that you can take a look at it and the sources that I use to get to that point. What's happening with showings? Showings are continuing to be higher than they were this time last year. A lot of us say the summer was a new spring. Well, heck, the fall feels like spring as well right now. It's just nonstop. You can see the activity slowed down just a hair, but that orange line on the right-hand side, September 19th to October 20th, much better than we were last year this time in North Carolina. In South Carolina, you can see we swap sides, but in our region of South Carolina, I can tell you it's higher than it was last year this time for showing activity. That means homes that people are looking at that are online and listed. Thinking about buying or selling, wondering what your home's worth, thinking about what that strategy needs to look like now, 2 years from now. Find a guide like myself. I'm Tiffany Johannes, and I'll help point you in the right direction. I'll help set up professionals that can give you the best advice so that you can make a decision for either home ownership, moving up in home ownership, or maybe even downsizing. If you're thinking about now or a couple of years from now, don't hesitate to reach out, because right now is a good time to strategize what makes sense, whether it's refinancing, whether it's finding another home now and having the interest rates be that low when you want to make that move in 2 years, or whether it's just planning on what you'll do when you are ready for home ownership. It's never too early to start talking about it. If you are listing your house or you are a buyer, how can you stand out? What can you do to make you different from the crowd? We have a few tips and tricks to share with you if you want to reach out to us. I'm happy to talk to you about them. Let's say you are a homeowner and you want to make that move, but you're thinking instant offers. And when I say instant offers, I mean, what about OfferPad or Zillow or some of the groups that will go out and just buy your house? You don't even have to list it. Well, if you want someone to guide you through that process and help you understand what it looks like and maneuver around some of the high fees, I'm here to share that information with you as well. So if you want to understand what instant offers look like compared to putting your house on the fair market and getting the best possible price for it, reach out to me, because I know a little bit about that, and I'm happy to share my wisdom and the information I've gleaned over the years. What's your next step? What is your plan? If there's something I can do to help you, let me know. I'm here to help create your future and help you find the best path for yourself. The path for your neighbor, the path for a family member, it's probably not the right path for you. So talk to a professional, someone who's in it every day, before you make the decision. So in our update, we said we'd talk to you about what's happening overall in the country in today's market and current events, how it's impacting sales. What's going on with mortgage rates today? Our Charlotte market update. How to sell, what questions to ask. And then, are there any questions out there? So I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. Again, I'm Tiffany Johannes with RE/MAX Executive and Charlotte Home Experts. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Okay, I don't think there are any questions, so I hope you have a great evening. Thank you.